Travis Wayne Goodsell. Church news time. So, late last night, 5:03 p.m., he posted on social media channels, which, he's doing it on the porn site. X. Porn. And Russell Ballard is on porn. And so the Church News posted it later than 5:03 p.m., which is why I missed it. Because it's 5:13 right now. And so anything that comes out later, I'll miss until tomorrow. If I check it tomorrow. Might not be until Monday evening. And so, during conference, he says that he had gone blind because of porn. Ballard got COVID because of, not Ballard, Holland got COVID because of porn. Because he did that speech to the We're Obsessed with Porn group, where he says that COVID is like porn. And he came out and posted that a week ago. You notice a pattern? Usually when something happens to an apostle prior to 2017, they immediately notified us. But something happened. And they're a little late in informing us that the apostles are dying. And so last week, as Nelson informed us about 3 weeks previous to the conference when he announced it. I remember the good old days of Holland. 2 weeks later, Travis filed a motion in which he presented the evidence of the carved-in stone keystone on the Salt Lake Temple, and I had an episode that I had to be sent to the hospital for. You see, that should have made the news, because she got in the news for getting fired for allowing Gaddy versus COP to go through. And then they just skipped me purposely. And then she picked up another guy right before she ended. And they covered that in the news. But they skipped me. And it had to do with the church. It's a big story. And yet, they skipped it. So that you wouldn't find out about it. Yeah. And so, he's out of the picture. Ballard is out. Like I told you, Oaks is the president of the 12 now. Because Nelson is out. There's been no update on him. Unless 3 weeks from now, we'll get an update for today. And so, yes, he says, I have been released from the hospital and returned home, where I am attending to my duties as I am able. He's not able. He's not attending to his duties. That's a lawyer speak to trick you. God, and people fall for it because it's faith promoting. And so, BYU, another study. After their previous study of, how far back do we need to go? Yeah. Religious hope strengthens families. Did the video on that one. Now they find that sibling relationships found. Sisters gave siblings better mental health. Oh, hell no. Do you want me to tell all about it, Tiffany? Tara Lynn? Sort of Tabitha, but not really. She was 17 years later. Dear God. You see, this is BYU, and it's not a scientific-based study. It is psychologically driven. And so, the other one, Psychological Family Services for the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. Don't let the LDS being dropped fool you. Counseling gives single mother tools. Really? Physical tools? No. Hypnotic tools to help her mental health. And remember, this is the brand new term psychologists now use. It has had many names over the decades. Mentally deranged, psychotic, mentally ill, mentally disturbed, mentally disabled, mentally retarded, psychotic, and so now they're just calling it mental health. It's any and all of those other names. And you miss it because you're not paying attention in your older age like me. So this is targeting the youth. And why is she a single mother? They're calling single mothers mentally retarded. And sisters cause mental retardation. They are a fraud. Psychologists are a fraud. And I am not popular, so I can't get the word out. But here's the church using family services. Mackenzie alludes to it because that's where the bishops would send members of the church to, would be family services. She says she was sexually assaulted by a married priesthood leader at 15 years of age. It was dismissed and ignored. So at 23 years of age, she says she went in to see the bishop to go on a mission for the church. And when he asked, is there anything in your past that has not been resolved by the proper priesthood authority? She said, well, there was this time where a married priesthood leader sexually assaulted me. Bishop calls the hotline. Hotline says, send her to family services. She goes to family services. They say, you're not mentally healthy. She believes to this day she's depressed. She hasn't caught on that everything in the church is evil. And that they lied to her about her mental health to keep her from going on a mission because she still wants to talk about the trauma at 15 years of age. Family services, when they were LDS family services, when the church had an adoption agency, used to have the rape victims go into family services. Family services would say, you need to have this baby. It's a sin to abort the baby. And then the church would take the baby and sell it to a good Mormon parents. And then the whole gay marriage thing hit the nation, and they were now wanting to adopt children, and the church says, we're out. They want it back. Yes, indeedly do. And so this is a problem you are not seeing clearly enough. The last couple of days, I watched Kiefer Sutherland's new TV show, Season 1, Rabbit Hole. And it involves psychological manipulation for the sole purpose of overthrowing the government. Anybody been following me? Anybody know my video topics? It was incomplete about the broad spectrum of attacks through psychology being used on this nation. All of which are designed, as the show even pointed out, to compromise you. So that you are their puppet. That you are blacklisted. So that they can manipulate you based on your LGBTQIAPO+ status. Which when they were allowing identifications to be changed on birth certificates and driver's licenses in Utah, I warned all LGBTQIAPO+. They're blacklisting you for the time when they strike and turn America into Nazi Germany. Because that's what they did then. History's repeating itself, and it's a far grander scale. The final solution has been modified. And mental health. And who are the ones that are helping LGBTQIAPO+? Yeah, they were put into the grade schools. That's where the psychologists went to work on the kids. And it's from there that the rise in identification of LGBTQIAPO+ happened. And it's a denial of science. It's not complicated. There is only one way humans are able to perpetuate the species. Thus, there are only two sex identifications: sperm, egg, baby. There is no other way. Two men cannot produce a baby. Two women cannot produce a baby. Any of the other letters of the alphabet cannot produce a baby. Sperm, egg, baby. That's it. That's all. That's what's called sex. It's the act of sex And it's the two sex identifiers. Seed, male. Egg, female. That is science. We get taught this in grade school. I'm not sure about Utah, but I did. There is no sexual identity other than that. You were brainwashed by psychologists. And then you are weaponized to attack anybody as bigoted if they dare say science. Because it's all a mental feeling. That's psychology. And so in the show, they targeted specific people who were programmed by psychologists, who were depressed and bipolar. Mackenzie, they were used as weapons, not just for protesting, but for assassinations. Because they are mentally susceptible. They have been conditioned, groomed, and they have believed the grooming. Right, certain ex-Mormon who got a PhD from BYU on the subject matter? Porn. The news last night indicated that Utah has now succeeded in passing yet another law against all social media, where everyone must be blacklisted when going to those sites. Or the state of Utah is going to sue you. Heads up, YouTube. You're a part of it. We learned from their attempt to do this with porn sites that it's not for protecting children. That's just always their excuse. Ever since I was a kid. Music, harmful to kids. TV, harmful to kids. Video games, harmful to kids. And yes, we had porn back then too, harmful to kids. This is psychological manipulation. And all women know that this is a fraud. Right, women? Your body is not harmful to kids. Your body is not evil, sinful, shameful. You know this, right? Mormon women don't. They've been groomed, as men have been groomed for their version. And so Pornhub came out and said, no more Pornhub for Utah until the state of Utah drops this lawsuit, drops this law. And it was done away with by, was a Texas judge, wasn't it? That rendered the verdict that disqualified Utah's law to go into effect. But what they were doing in requiring people to certify their age is that these sites would have to send the list to Utah, to the government, the blacklist. This is also called a honey trap. It's often used in Russia. It's called compromat. You've probably heard of the P-tape. That's part of it. It's where they already preconditioned you that looking at porn sites are evil. And because of this, we now realize that those who put viruses on porn sites, when you look at them, are from Christian-based hackers imposing their morality and punishment on anybody who goes to them. So that's why the majority of us don't go, because it's dangerous. It's going to crash your computer. Viruses, malware, from Christians. They are the enemy. But the government is making this as part of their blacklist. LGBTQ, those with mental illnesses, mental health issues, mentally retarded, and those who look at porn. And now, starting March next year, all social media. And so they will then know your search preferences on the social media sites. They've been able to do that with the Google search, Microsoft Edge searching, web searching through your browser history. But now they can do it starting March next year, your social media searches. So they'll know that you're watching those evil girls twerking on TikTok, or all the porn on YouTube. YouTube's already dealing with their issues. They still can't get it resolved. They're being compromised by Christianity. And another thing with that is algorithms. Rabbit Hole also went over algorithms as part of this for social media. And so the lawsuit that the Utah has against social media sites for harmful to kids, addicting, has to do with the algorithms, but they're not specifying the algorithms. And Nelson was the one who caused the problem with algorithms in the first place, back when he said that we've worked with the search engines as we've changed the name, because Jesus is now offended and angry. Yeah, he forced the search engines to do what they did. And there was even a purge last year. The search engines were purging their files. I was witness to it. I did videos on this. And it was covered up. Just the one site that I had found talking about it, and I went and checked for myself, and sure enough, it was disappearing right before my eyes. And the claim was that there were so many pages to look on, and you'd go to the end and it's nowhere near. They were purging the files, and I had found out that they had purged my website files that I had had, but the church shut me down. They purged it all. So all those cool pictures that I made, they're only in my files now. So, yeah. I used to do a search for me, and all my websites, pictures on the church, even Google searching the church, my pictures just flooded the screen. It was awesome. 3,000 views per day, and the church shut me down. Well, I was big. That was back in the days where Anna wasn't revealed as an anti-Semite. Anna Kasparian from the Young Turks. I did a series because I noticed every day she was wearing a different black outfit. So I did Anna Back in Black. Because I have to get involved with women's fashion. Just got to do it. Mom made me do it. But algorithms are purposely designed with the psychological manipulation that I've been going over with you all these years. The rabbit hole just told me what I already knew. But hopefully that they were popular enough that other people now are aware of it too, since they're not listening to me. And so yeah, a person has to program the algorithm. Even for AI, a person has to input programs for the system. And when they put in psychological programming, it screws everything up. And that's why the news, with the chat GPS, telling you how to murder people, telling you how to kill yourself and other criminal activities, from psychology. That's the danger of psychology. It's not AI, it's the programming. The psychological manipulation put into AI is it's going to cause the end of the human race. Because that's what psychologists are doing right now. That's the danger that they're trying to tell you and warn you about, but they don't understand that it's psychology that was put into the programming. Because psychology is not a hard science that uses facts and mathematical laws. Because with those programming, you can have a highly intelligent computer system that can do a lot of good in our society, make life easier for us. I would like it to organize my files and run things quicker and easier. Then nope, they have to ruin it. I mean, at least do it for porn. The other one, psychology, is blacklisting people through political party affiliation. And it's formed the popular false dichotomy that there are only two political choices because you're wasting your vote if you do any of the others. They purposely got America, since the 2020 election, to be half liberal, half Nazi. I mean, conservative. There are many words on both sides. Just like with psychology, diagnoses, bullying, name-calling. And so that purposely polarizes the populace to turn the other into the other. And so yes, just like with religion, as it's really only a war between two main religions now, Christianity and Islam. The Jews, they're only 16 million, like the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, but at least the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints dismisses Joseph Smith and the Book of Mormon and calls them Christian instead. It's only Christians who know they're not really Christian. They're fakes, frauds, being non-Trinitarian. And so that is a very dangerous situation. And so, since I'm doing news, and we're branching it out to a broader warning for you of the danger all of you are in. Because if you fall into any of these categories, if you identify yourself as LGBTQIAPO+, or having mental health problems, or you watch porn, or you're on social media, oops, there you are. Or you're a political party affiliate, a registered such and such, or you're a part of a religion, or were, because this is the church. Everyone who has been Mormon are still kept track of, even after you leave. They still know where you are. Headquarters keeps your records on file, and it says you submitted your termination to leave the church, but it's there still. They still know you. And when you move and they find you, it's noted. They still track you, just like your dead ancestors. They are Big Brother. And so, also in the news, only the BBC covered it. The leader of Hezbollah came out and just shut the whole story down. All of these non-Islamic, non-Palestinian protesters who are sensitive about violence and want to blame the Jews, Israel, protesting in Congress while Blinken was giving his little update. There were protests. Israel must cease fire. Israel must stop the violence. Israel must stop the murders of women and children and refugees. Israel must stop. And I've been telling you, it means they support Hamas. Palestinians support Hamas because they did not condemn Hamas. They are not fighting against Hamas after the attack on Israel. They are not fighting with Israel to fight Hamas. That makes them complicit, just like a Mormon who refuses to leave the church and report them to the federal authorities for their crimes. Mormons are complicit in the church's crimes. And so, Hamas was specifically using the children and the women as martyrs to murder them and blame Israel for it. To murder Hamas, or murder the refugees by hiding among them. The refugees didn't fight Hamas. They didn't claim they were being held hostage. They supported and gave shelter to Hamas. That's why Israel attacked. And people are offended when they say that. They're refugees. How dare you say that they were sheltering? They were. Those are the facts. Hamas lives in Gaza, among the Palestinians there. They have wives that bear them children, and those children grow up to join Hamas. These are the facts. But you are being psychologically manipulated to say, well, war and killing is evil because the Jewish Ten Commandments, Christianized, say so. It's murder, by the way, not kill. There is a difference. Book of Mormon distinguishes the difference. And so, every single protester supports Hamas when they want Israel to stop. Israel can't stop now. Hamas did this on purpose to cause Armageddon, to exterminate the Jews once and for all, get them off their land, which is not their land, but they claim legal rights to it. So even the Pope, oops, anti-Semite, he wants a two-nation state as his solution for peace. He is purposely ignoring the fact that Islam wants the extermination of all Israel, all the Jews, just like Christians, claiming Jesus is going to do it. And so the Pope came out as an anti-Semite. And so this Hezbollah leader, that's the terrorist Islamic group in Lebanon, every single location on earth, you have a different Islamic terrorist group. They're all terrorist group. In Afghanistan, it's Taliban. See? He said that Hamas is 100% Palestinian. All protesters who claim that Hamas is not Palestinian, that there's a difference, despite their not taking any action against Hamas, just got slammed as culpable by the Hezbollah leader, as I've been telling you, you are. And so when Blinken instead, at the same time, was saying that Israel has a right to defend themselves, but they should not do harm to innocent civilians. There are none. The civilians support Hamas, and thus are equally culpable. All through psychological manipulation, all designed to exterminate the human race, just like AI. And so, yeah, this is what the church has been doing. They've been trying to get different groups to do the dirty work, to trigger a civil war in America. And they tried it with Democrats, and they're spineless. They tried it with MAGA, and violence has escalated. But they still can't go the distance. And January 6th was another example of how they just are incompetent to do the job. From the Rabbit Hole Show. And so the church went to Putin. You owe us a favor, though, about that temple. We gave you the money. Time to start the Ezekiel 38. And remember, the news used to be all over Putin and his human atrocities. Why are they not all over Hamas and their human atrocities? I saw the Red Cross finally, after all these weeks, are now trying to ask Hamas to get access to the hostages. They went in first to the Palestinians, revealing themselves as anti-Semitic. And there is not enough guilting going on in this world for those who support Hamas, claiming to be pro-Palestinian. Because that's the power of the algorithms in social media. What people click on feeds the narrative. And we now realize the press, too, has been compromised and are misinforming the public. We are having difficulty trusting the press. Rabbit hole. That's what I've been warning you about. All through the psychological programming. And so that's why YouTube often gets in trouble for supporting neo-Nazism, promoting certain candidates who should have been removed from office according to the 14th Amendment. As the press didn't even bother to point out the 14th Amendment when Roe v. Wade was overturned. That was an act of seditious conspiracy, just like January 6th. Women have rights. Their fetus does not, because they are not born. And now that it's been overthrown, nobody's holding the justices accountable. And women are now being victims of abuse, as the OBGYNs are now out of Idaho because of their furtherance of laws behind the Supreme Court new precedent, new normal. And it's just going to continue to escalate, just like the war and the protesting. The other day I went out, I see Islamists. They are among us, and they support Hamas. They literally have to publicly denounce Hamas, or they support them. They are the enemy. And they want to destroy anybody who's against them. And so sure enough, just like with the Me Too movement that got ruined and destroyed by those who were making false accusations, Islamists all over the world have begun the next phase of misinformation. They are now claiming that they're being assaulted without any evidence. That they're claiming that their religious freedom is in jeopardy, that hate crimes are occurring against them. And so it's kind of difficult to tell because the news isn't actually news and reporting facts. And so Utah is where I learned of the latest one, in which an Islamic woman made claims that she was physically assaulted. And the news is saying, well, if these are true, these would be a hate crime. Yeah, well, why are you reporting it if she has no evidence of it? They need to catch the guy in the act or on camera or some other documentation, driver's license or the license plate on the vehicle, or however it happened and wherever it happened and whenever it happened. Because this is a time where you have to be on alert. Because Islam needs to claim to be the victims. They need sympathy for their cause to exterminate the Jews. And yes, all pro-Palestinians here in Utah are terrorists supporting Hamas. They are not innocent. They are not denouncing Hamas. They need to denounce Hamas. They can be pro-Palestinian all they want, but if they don't denounce Hamas, they are just like them. This is not complicated. It's in our laws. Hasn't been overthrown by the Supreme Court yet. When you give aid and comfort, when you assist in the crime, even not to report it, you are equally guilty as if you likewise committed the crime. Thus, you're a terrorist. Thus, same with the church. They paid for it. They went and had meetings with, and they were all over the church news about it, letting everybody know this is what we're about to do. It's coming in the coming days. Jesus. When's Jesus coming? During the middle of Armageddon. So the church has to cause Armageddon. And so how did they cause Armageddon? They were meeting with government and religious Islamic leaders, doing business deals with them so that they would then cause it. Section 119. That's what your tithing is for. For building the foundation of Zion, not just priestcraft. This is World War III. But the news and our government are trying to play it down, trying not to escalate it. And by doing that, they're escalating it. Because people are already panicking. People are already getting excited and drooling that Jesus is coming. And depending on which Jesus you're a part of, depends on who else is going to die. If it's Christian Jesus, Jews, Mormons, and Islam are going to die. If it's Islamic Jesus, it's Jews, Christians, and Mormons who are going to die. And if it's Mormons, it's Christians, Jews, and Islamists who are going to die. The Battle of Jesus. It's 3, so the Triple Agent Jesus in Armageddon. So yeah, we're still waiting for these old men to die off. They're just piling up at the door of the Reaper. Don't fear the Reaper. We'll make that as the theme song in the description below. So let's see if I can throw in anything else since we're at 50 minutes. Yeah, I'm cautious about the 24th. We'll throw this in. I've told you that I'm suspicious about the 24th because of Islamic religion, rituals, and prayers. 5 pillars of Islam, along with some other things, signs in the heavens even, and other factors, even Joseph Smith in the Book of Mormon. And so another thing that you have to be wary of is that the Thanksgiving long weekend, there's usually a greater amount of Mormons coming into Utah than there are going out of Utah because of the number of parents that are still in Utah. Whereas typically the youth tend to go out of Utah. That's why there's a higher population that comes into Utah during Thanksgiving. And so pay attention to that, because that means there's going to be a higher concentration of Mormons on Black Friday, the 24th. And so as I warned you of a potential for the day that shall burn as an oven, and the Islamic centers are perfectly positioned in this valley as the highest concentration in the world of Islamic centers. And remember, their Jesus is going to murder us. So they have to do it. So, and they don't like it that we're corrupting their children with our Western influence, with entertainment. And so yeah, there's the sympathy for Islam. And they're manipulating the law, as everybody's trying to overthrow the Constitution. But yeah, Islam is a part of that also, where they want added laws to protect them. And no, First Amendment says no laws for or against any religion. This is it. There's your religious freedom. Deal with it. And yet, and so same with the 14th Amendment. There shouldn't be any extra laws for LGBTQIAPO+. You're already protected in the 14th Amendment. You don't need to tell anybody unless you're wanting to deceive persons as regarding your relationship. But in the work relationship, none of that should be an issue. But regardless, and then, yeah, that was how the Me Too movement got stopped. So, yeah, those are others. I crossed that out. Piles of papers were getting out of control. Because, yeah, there's world justice that I need to go over for you, too. So, yeah, I don't need that anymore. Rabbit hole. Yeah, they're focusing on kids because they can blacklist them easier. They can weed them out as to who the weak ones are. That's what they were using. That was on Rabbit Hole. And yeah, they had a Shared Data Act that they wanted getting passed through Congress in the show. That's Utah with social media. Shared Data Act. It's exactly what it is with the porn sites even. Shared Data Act. It's exactly what the church is pulling. And there it was on the show as the enemy. It was awesome watching the news and watching the show at the same time. It's just awesome. And so, let's see. And they did it with a dating app also. Trying to get people, but here we had it. Utah's doing it with social media. Yeah, because by identifying who's an adult, there's no need for it. There's already a system in place, and YouTube has already dealt with this, and so Utah is only stepping in so that they can identify the individuals. There is no reason for them to do it. But yeah, it's for compromise. Search histories on social media. Okay, excellent. We're just plowing right through these. Alrighty, so an hour. Yay. So that's the church news, that's the world news, this Armageddon news. We're all gonna die.